Welcome back to another Madtown Hobby video. My name is Keith, owner of Madtown Hobby and amateur video recording YouTube person, here today with some news about one of our beloved games, Genesis Battle of Champions. It seems that our friends over at Edge of Exile have decided that in order to proceed accordingly to their timeline of releasing Metamorphosis, the next set, here this summer or soon after, that a nice, decently sized cash infusion would help it along. Yeah, they announced a Kickstarter. And cards on the table. It was like Obi-Wan in A New Hope when they blew up Alderaan. There was a disturbance in the Force, as if thousands of Genesis fans heard the word Kickstarter and collectively groaned. Yeah. These guys have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to be honest about it. I thought the game was doing well enough on its own, selling in stores, expanding. I thought they were on a pretty good footing for growth, but it turns out there's just been a lot of competition this year, and that's not really their fault. They couldn't have anticipated when they took over the game that Star Wars would release a new game, Lorcana would be taking off. It's a very thick market for TCGs right now, and most of them are doing surprisingly well. And so here we are. How do we break in? How do we go from a small indie game to a major player? And it sounds like a little fundraising is in order. And, I'm here for it. If they do it right, they can shake off the negative vibes that were carried over from the previous company and their efforts. And we'll see how it goes. I can bring this up here. Kickstarter.com projects. Here is the announcement page. It looks like this will be launching next week, I believe. I have to find the exact date again. I'm sorry, I don't have that. But here we are. They announced this last week on Monday. They told everybody about the page, and so far we've got 37 followers. I can't say I'm surprised the number is so low, and forgive me, Jason, Jeff, Janice. This is going to be a tough pull. I was hoping to make... you guys gave me a spoiler, and I've got a spoiler for this audience. As one of the Kickstarter rewards, it's really cool, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I am airing what I feel right now, and I've tried to always do that. I want to pay attention, point out the business side of things for all these games, call out things that are good, call out things that are bad, and things that I'm just not sure about. 37 people care at this point, just based on this number. That's not nearly enough. Oh boy. If you go over to brutalgamer.com, our buddy Dan has written up his summary of the information for the Kickstarter that was released, as well as a fun spoiler. And if you go check out the Flooded Studios spoiler as well, the Imperial Pulls channel, They got a t-shirt design they put out, so I'm not going to show it. You guys go check out their video from their stream and see their spoiler. I pulled up Dan's here because this is cool. So this is a playmat that's going to be available as an add-on. So they've got like a different orientation, so like a portrait mode, or you can get it printed as like a landscape. That's pretty cool. I do enjoy, like, because it's a grid-based game, you pretty much need a playmat to do very well. One of the things that's really hindered the game, and in 2024, not having an online client that's easier to use, better than Tabletop Simulator, does kind of hold the game back. It's really hard to do a webcam game when you've got to position the opponent's things and figure that out relative to yours, or have this giant mat out and the space for a camera to cover it. But yeah, some people do it. Have pulled it off. Okay. So, $40,000. That's what the Kickstarter goal is going to be. So, I mean, basic math. You need 40 people to do 1,000. You need 400 people to do 100. That's not so bad. I don't really have great numbers to gauge what the current interest level of Genesis is, or what the current player base number is. I think 400 is possible. I think what we're really going to struggle with here is getting the word out. And there are people who played Genesis, who loved it, who were really turned off by how the previous company failed. And if those people heard that the new company was doing well, the game was expanding, continuing, and they had a Kickstarter that was... there's two levels of information that needs to get out. First, we got to find those people and tell them that the game's doing well and they should come back. That's definitely the hardest part. But then you've got a secondary thing where you're going to tell those people, hey, there's a Kickstarter that you should check out. And that you're going to have to explain it like, oh, whoa, this isn't like, a big giant... these are optional. The game will continue without this Kickstarter. There are plan Bs. As were expressed, this is a way to seek funding from people to get, and I think part of this is pre-order as well for Metamorphosis. So I kind of like Kickstarter as a way to do pre-orders for games. That's kind of what it is, as a fancy version, but you've already got a company up and running, so you already know they have a printer, they have all this stuff. So it's just, really just kind of a fancy pre-order system. And then all the stretch goals would be a way to expand the game into more arenas. And they've got them listed here. And zoom in a little bit. So 40,000 to start. Do 5,000 more. We add some full art champs. We get to 50,000. That extra 5,000 helps launch the organized play program with new rewards. Gets that going. We get up to 60,000. It allows them to print and expand on promotional packs and all that. 70,000. We get a nice set of metal exert tokens. Those are always, everybody needs some kind of exert markers for the game, so that's cool. And the Hail Mary, the top of the line stretch goal, the money to get on TCG Player. Now, I don't know how much people are aware, but TCG Player just they don't come to you and say, hey, you're a big game, let us get you on our marketplace. I mean, maybe if you're Disney, Lorcana or Star Wars, they do that. But if you're a small indie game, you have to buy your way onto TCG Player. And it is tens of thousands of dollars. They do have some qualifications, like the previous company, Haunted Castle Gaming, was approved to join TCG Player. But it sounds like they got right to the point where they needed to write a 5-figure check, something north of $50,000, I think. And judging by the way this Kickstarter stretch goal is, it looks like $80,000 is here appropriated for going to TCG Player. So that sounds about in the ballpark. I've heard 100,000 as a ballpark for what it takes to get on TCG Player. There's also different levels. You can throw a lot more money at them and you get your game on the menu, higher ranking in their system. But we don't need those levels right now. But those are some interesting lofty goals, and I'm all for it. If you want your game to have the best recognition right now, getting on TCG Player is basically getting your game in front of almost every other TCG lover in the United States, because that site is heavily used, and stores go for it, use it to price all their cards, to sell things online. It's a big deal. So that would be exciting to be able to get on there. Now, okay, I will be pushing for this. There's going to be a store, an LGS level, I assume, and this will be a way to mark pre-orders. They're trying to figure it out. They said to not really step on distribution because they want to still be able to go through the normal channels. But yeah, as much as I am just, I don't want to come off too negative. I'm just tired, folks. I'm so tired. We've watched multiple games that started with Kickstarters during the pandemic come along, and there were over 30 of them that I paid attention to, and there were even more than that other people paid attention to, and most of them are gone. And the ones that have succeeded, I'll list off Alpha Clash, Grand Archive, Alestrals. The ones that have succeeded were able to do really well on the business side in order to build a game that had legs, that had the support. And I want to be careful with my words here. I know when you're building a company, there are certain aspects of it that the owner, like I started a store by myself. There are certain things I do well, and there are certain things I know I do not do well. I am terrible at art, graphics, all that kind of thing. I've had to have other people do that sort of thing. And as far as game design, we've watched Edge of Exile sort of try to do everything themselves. Jason takes it upon himself to do these spoiler videos, these trailers, these graphics, and he puts a lot of time and effort into them. And I wonder if the company was bigger, if they had more cash flow, they'd be able to hire out some of these roles so that somebody else who is more skilled at certain things could take those things, and then the management of Edge of Exile, as I'll call them, could focus on other tasks, other things that can improve the game. And right now, I think they're doing a lot of good stuff. I think I could be pleasantly surprised that this Kickstarter does very well, and we see a lot of support for the game. Obviously, the more people buy into this Kickstarter, the easier it will be for other people who are skeptical to also buy into it. So if we can just make the 40,000 number and fund, it'll be a whole lot easier to make the 45, 50, and 60 as people get excited about this set and be able to support it. So, I don't know. This is a good rant here. I feel like when Dan Brutal Gamer put up his thoughts after they announced the Kickstarter, he kind of felt the same way as I did. I think he used the word collective groan, just hearing the word Kickstarter. But I think those of us who have stuck through this and been along for Edge of Exile taking over, I think we've been surprised in good ways so far. They've done a great job with what they were able to pick up and learning and starting, and things are new. And if there is one thing I really, really want Edge of Exile to do, is to mature as a game company. And there are things like they just released the spoiler video. Oops. Alarm's going off there. They released the little spoiler video for the Kickstarter and the details, and they used some kind of robot Australian voice, and it sounds so boring. And there's just, I don't know. There's some shine, there's some sparkle, there's some presentation that just needs to be done to grow this thing up. And I hope that happens over the next year. There's a lot to learn. Look at other games that have been successful. I know with more money you can do more things. But, if you can make more with what you have at these levels, it goes so much farther. You can impress people at these levels. Oh, boy. Well, okay. Sorry. That was a long, what's the right word? Cautiously optimistic rant. But here, they revealed one of the spoilers. One of the things are going to be t-shirts related to the heroes, and they let me spoil this one for Caleb and Ridvorn. So this is the only t-shirts that's going to have the option to have two different sides. So you can get it where it's just the one front and back is the same, or you can pay extra so you can get it basically a double-sided shirt, just like the art in the card like this. I think that's pretty cool. It sounded like this is the only t-shirt where that's going to be an option to upgrade to do the double-sided. But man, I just love this concept, this art, this the nerdy librarian guy gets a little too close to your friendly neighborhood demon who wants all the knowledge all to himself. when this comes out, this is definitely going to be the deck I'm most interested in playing. All right. So I appreciate anybody who hung out for this long for this spoiler. And everybody says that, but you guys are one of the best communities I have ever experienced. Anybody who has stuck it out and stayed with Genesis through all the ups and downs through the last year. It feels like it's been 10 years already, but it's only been a year or a little more than a year. So you guys are the best. I appreciate you. I thank you all for coming along for my videos as I practice being better at this content thing. I am stocking Invasion, and basically if you buy a box of Invasion from me, this lovely box right here, I already probably went too long. I thought about opening it, but then I just had to keep talking. I'll do another video where I'm just smiling and opening this. Yeah. You buy a box of Invasion from me, and I've got so much J2 and Origins Kickstarter. I'll just throw more boxes in with it. So anybody who wants cards, please take them. If you've got a community around you that you want to help grow, I've got a bunch of the old starter decks, and I will mail them out at my own cost just to see the game expand. And I appreciate anybody who's out there looking to establish their own local community again and get this thing going. So yeah, long rant over. We'll see you guys when the Kickstarter launches. Thanks.